Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you're listening up this morning. I wrote it in there, depending on the day. I don't know how much you read of what I write, but I have a few announcements I want to share with you. We had a staff meeting about the end of the year, and me and Mr. Molina will communicate more with your parents too. But some things you should know is we're going to be going into school next week to clean out the rooms. So we'll be there next Wednesday, and we're going to send some pictures through if we come across anything that looks like you might want to keep it, like sweatshirts or lunch boxes that got left. So make sure your parents are on remind so you see those. I might try and post it on Canvas too. Maybe at the discussion post, I'll post pictures and you can write your name if it was yours. There's going to be some communication coming out about when you guys can come and pick up your things. You're going to keep your Chromebooks over the summer, I have been told. If you took a notebook home and you come to pick up your things and come to pick up your diploma, you'll drop your notebook, or not your notebook, I'm sorry, but like the Watsons go to Birmingham. If you brought any novel home or you have library books at home that you need to return, you'll pick up your things and drop off your things all at the same time. What else? We are going to have a virtual graduation. We're going to get in touch with your parents tomorrow at the latest to kind of talk about dates and times. I would really like to talk with you guys about a way to surprise Mr. Molina at graduation. So if you can please be on my Zoom call tomorrow so we can kind of talk about ideas and get our plan set, I would really, 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 really appreciate it. Please be there. What else? What else? What else? Oh, okay. So since we're clearly not in school and things are very, very different, and we're not having grades and report cards for quarter four, we are going to, me and Mr. Molina will be filling out a form on every single student about like how you did this year and also how you did during e-learning, like how often you were turning in assignments, things like that, ways that you can improve, things you're really, really good at. So it won't be grades, so to speak, like it was in regular school, but there will be feedback for your parents. And we also have to have Zoom conference calls with parents, every single parent, to talk about just how you're doing and preparing you for middle school. So that's going to take a lot of time. And that all starts on June 1st. So let me take out my phone. Today is the 20th. Not this, I'm recording this early, sorry. Today is Thursday the 21st. So not this Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday, the 29th, will be our last class Zoom call other than the graduation that we do. So like class, so to speak, will be going through the 29th. And after that point, any work that you do won't be graded at all. Like I won't give you any feedback. That will be most likely when you catch up on any missing work. So we are 1, 2, like 7 days away from the end of everything. So as a teacher and a little bit your friend, but mostly your teacher, my advice to you is know that these conferences are coming up, know that these forms are going out. If you were kind of falling behind with this e-learning, not turning things in, you want to turn them in because it's not like this isn't graded and no one's going to know anything that happened. Like we're still going to have these discussions. So if you are far behind, you need to take this weekend and I mean, you're running out of time. You have until the 29th, and then things won't be graded anymore. So if you want to try and catch up, this is your time to catch up. And at the end of this, like I said, starting June 1st, which is a Monday, we'll start having the parent conferences and giving the forms on your progress so your parents know and you know, and teachers can know next year where you are and how to get started and what you're really great at and how they can help you. Okay, so that's all I have right now. I'll give your parents tons of specifics, so let them know that I will be in touch with them. Me and Mr. Molina will be in touch with them. But I just wanted you guys to be aware too. So please come on the call tomorrow on Friday for Zoom so we can talk about Mr. Molina. Please, I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, we continue. So today's poetry day, which you know is my favorite day. And I don't know if it's working, but I hope I've made you like poetry maybe like a little bit more than you used to like it. If not, then I'm just all on my own enjoying poetry, and that's cool. But we're not focusing as much on tone and mood. I mean, we are, because that's the only way you can figure out and like unpiece a poem. But we're actually going to make inferences today. So I hope you continue watching this video so you know what to do with the graphic organizer, the note catcher that we're using. So you're going to read How to Get Riches along with me, listening closely for how to make inferences in poetry, because that's our focus today. Remember, an inference is like a guess about what you think the author means. And then you're going to apply the skills that you learn from me when you read A Penny and a Purse. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up mine. It's right here. So my poem was written by Benjamin Franklin, and it has 3 precepts. And if anyone ever read Wonder or saw the movie, that might sound familiar to you. A precept isn't so much a poem, like it's kind of written in rhyme, but more so it's like advice. And so just like always, his title here is a really big clue, because first of all, I know that a precept is advice or kind of like lessons in life. And then he looks like he's giving lessons in life on how to get riches or how to get money. Now, Benjamin Franklin lived from 1706 to 1790, so a very long time ago. And you'll notice that the language in here is a bit different. Same with the poem that you're reading. I don't believe it's as old, but it does have some different language. And so you just want, like we always do, you want to pay attention to the tone. You want to figure out the little pieces of this mystery and then figure out your mood at the end. You don't have to get it all. You just want to try and get some pieces so you can have an overall sense of the feeling of the poem. Okay? Now, it would make sense to open up your note catcher first as well, so you know what you're doing. What I did, this one is mine, this is the one I'm modeling, is I took 3 different lines from the poem. And you can see here the header says what I read. So these are 3 things we're going to come across in the poem. And then we're going to write down what we know. And then we're going to make an inference. So the reason I like this note catcher for today is because when you're trying to figure out a poem, so first of all, you got to know the tone and the mood, but then you just have to think about what you know. So like, what do I already know about this topic? Okay, this is probably what the poet's trying to say in a creative way. And this is a really good note catcher for poetry. Your penny and a purse poem is a lot like that. Like, what do you know about the things a penny might go through in life, the way that it's passed around and how it's spent? Think about that when you're answering these questions and making your guess or your inference. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to read mine. Mine's short, so shouldn't take you too long. How to Get Riches. Precept 1. In things of moment on thyself depend, nor trust too far thy servant or thy friend. With private views thy friend may promise fair, and servants very seldom prove sincere. So first of all, I'm just going to hop in here and say that this poem's a little obnoxious to me, pretentious that it was picked, because I don't think it's Benjamin Franklin's talking about his servants in this one precept of how to get riches, and clearly it was a long time ago, but it's also not the best poem we could ever use. So just throwing that out there. But we're going to keep going. So precept number 2. What can be done? With care perform today. Dangers unthought of will attend delay. Your distant prospects all precarious are, and fortune is as fickle as she's fair. Precept 3. Nor trivial loss, nor trivial gain despise. Molehills, if often heaped, to mountains rise. Weigh every small expense, and nothing waste. Farthings long saved amount to ponds at last. What? So I feel like you could read this and just be like, what in the world is Miss Waite and Benjamin Franklin talking about? And that's why I like poetry too so much, because I almost am right there with you. Like, what did I just read? But it's the second time we go through and we pick out the tone that it all starts to make sense. So right here, I can already start. And this is what you want to look for in your poem too. Before you can figure out inferences or anything else, you got to kind of focus on the tone first. Don't skip that step or your poetry won't make sense. It's like a recipe. You got to do this. So In things of moment on thyself depend. This one right here is already telling me, he says, when it comes to getting rich or other things in life, depend on yourself. Don't depend on somebody else. That makes sense to me. I can connect to that. Nor trust too far thy servant or thy friend. With private views thy friend may promise fair. So that's like when saying like a friend could promise you all these things in life and then they can do whatever they want when they're in private or you're not there. Maybe they talk behind your back. So this line is important to me. I'm gonna highlight it. And servants very seldom prove sincere. I don't even like that line. I know the word sincere means like you're honest, so he's saying that he doesn't think his servants are honest, but I don't even think we need to focus on that one. I'm going to keep going. Precept 2. What can be done with care? Perform today. Now notice that today is spelled different than we spell it now, and I think that has a lot to do with the time. Now we spell today as one word. But what can be done with care? Perform today. Perform means do it. So he's saying if you can do something well today, get it done. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off to another day. If you're trying to make money, if you're trying to make moves, do something well and do it today. Dangers unthought of will attend delay. So things you don't think of, it's going to kind of slow you down. Your distant prospects all precarious are, and fortune is as fickle as she's fair. So fickle means that you're not very reliable. So he's saying that fortune is kind of unreliable and it's not very fair. It just happens. So that's a good line right there. Precarious means like it's like you can't really rely on it. It's almost like the word fickle. So both of these words are showing me tone. You've got fickle, you've got precarious, depend on yourself. The tone coming through here is already very much so like if you want to get rich, do your work, only depend on yourself. Don't expect your fortune to be fair. It's not fair, things like that. So I can feel the tone already. Precept 3, nor trivial loss, nor trivial gain despise. Molehills, if often heaped, to mountains rise. This is something you might have heard your parents say. Don't make mountains out of molehills. Have you ever heard that, or am I just old? I don't know. People say this. So a molehill is really, really small, something a mole would dig up and make. And it's saying like, don't turn your little problems, your problems as small as a molehill, into a mountain. Focus on like what's a real problem and what's a little problem. That's what he's saying here. Weigh everything small expense and nothing. Weigh every small expense and nothing waste. So he's saying you pay attention to those small expenses, don't waste because they're important. And if you lose focus on that, you might not get rich. Farthings long saved amount to ponds at last. So maybe once you start saving a little bit, eventually you have this big old pond of money. Okay? So I hope it makes a little more sense to you now. I admit actually that this was kind of a little tricky when we read it the first time, but it's not so bad. So, so let me just pay quick attention to the tone. So tone, Ben Franklin is saying, or his tone, Ben Franklin's tone is very independent. He says to get rich, work hard, rely on yourself. That's basically his recipe here. Save your money, work hard. I should add in save your money because he said that too. Work hard, save your money, rely on yourself. That is the essence of all of that poetic writing. If you want to make money, work hard, save your money, and rely on yourself is what he's saying here. All right? So that's not all you have to do. That's just step 1. Now, good thing you have, 45 minutes, so you should be just fine. Here's your assignment you're turning in. So I picked 3 lines from the poem, and I did it for yours as well, except I'm missing quotation marks, and that is fresh. So I'm proofreading my writing, and I'm adding them all in. Also, I see that expense is spelled wrong, but that's how it's spelled in the poem, so it must be how they used to spell it. I'm going to leave it like that because it wasn't me. So the first thing I'm asking about is the line that says, what can be done with care, perform today? I need to write something I know about that. So I know that procrastinating is bad. That's something I know that relates to this line. Totally going to admit that I probably procrastinate sometimes too. And all of my little procrastinators who might have a lot of work to turn in before I start typing up report cards for people, what you can do with care, perform that day. So you get this time each day. It's only, 2 hours of school a day? Do it that day because it's just going to pile up and become a mountain that you have to deal with later. So my inference here, what can be done with care, perform today. My inference is exactly that. Don't put off your work or it will become a big problem. That's what he's saying. And I think when you relate it to money, it's probably like if you're trying to make money, if you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to maybe get a new job, if you can work in your job today and do it well, get that done. Don't put it off if you're trying to make some money. All right, our next challenge, it says, your distant prospects all precarious are, and fortune is as fickle as she is fair. So fickle and precarious might be words you didn't know, but I told you from my background knowledge that I know that fickle means like wouldn't totally trust it, wouldn't put all your trust in it. And precarious is the same. Precarious means it's like not very reliable. So he's saying that your distant prospects aren't reliable, and fortune is about as unfair or as unreliable as it is fair. So what I know is, I think I'll just write here for what I know. I'll write the words because that's kind of what's getting me through this. Precarious equals, keep doing this when I come across this word. I need a better definition of it. So precarious, it's like a unreliable situation. And fickle, is it L-E? Yeah. Fickle means also unreliable. Unreliable, not trustworthy. Oh, that's what I know as related to the line that it gave us. And bold it and make it a little bit bigger. So finally, my inference here. So what are they trying to say? They're trying to say that fortune, which means money, so or being wealthy, that's what fortune is. If you have a fortune, being wealthy is not reliable. It's basically what he's saying. Fortune is not reliable. You gotta work hard and get it done. So being wealthy is not reliable. Work hard and make your own money. That's a life lesson, kids. Work hard and make your own money. Don't rely on other people to do it for you, my friends. That's my wise wisdom today. And okay. Uh-oh. One sec. So many random interruptions when I teach from home. Okay. Weigh every small expense and nothing waste. What I know that if you don't pay attention to the money you spend, then you might get in a lot of debt. And so I'm going to say, if pay attention to your spendings and don't be wasteful. So it's like, every once in a while you might splurge and say that you want to go spend your money on Chick-fil-A that day, but don't go spend all your money at Chick-fil-A, or then eventually you're not going to have any money. And so my inference here about what the line means is, basically what I know, that we need to be careful with our money in order to save it. Okay, so that's what you're doing, all right? Like I said, you have 45 minutes today, so you're watching the video. I know this took about 15 minutes of your time, but you still have half an hour. You will not be able to make these inferences if you don't spend the time reading the poem once through and then going through and looking for the tone. You can't do it. You got to know the tone. Knowing the tone is what showed me how to kind of uncover what those lines meant. So now you're going to use this top one like we do. And I have picked out the lines I want you to focus on. You're going to tell me what you know about that. And then you're going to make an inference about what you thought the author meant, just like I did. All right. Now, I showed you how to do it in mine. So pay close attention to that when you're doing this. I'm looking for complete sentences, and I am looking to see that you took your time watching these videos when you responded. And it's kind of hard to say without it coming off as kind of like, I don't want to use the word threat, but it's hard to say it here without throwing things off. But I just want you guys to know that I'm giving you this work because you got to stay prepared for middle school, right? So if you aren't using full sentences, if you are doing this in 5 minutes, and that's something I'm going to mention in our conferences and on our notes, because although this was a very crazy year, you still are at an age where you're able to do your best, right? And that's all we ask of you. 2 hours a day, do your best. We know this is crazy, but you got to give me this time. So I would keep that at your core as you move through these last few days of school. And like I said, try and make up any missing work, all right? Hopefully you don't have any, and then you have nothing to stress about and you are all good. But when you're done, turn this in. I'll see you Friday. See me on my call so we can talk about Mr. Molina. Adios.